Ales and Scales, The Empty Throne, Chapter 18, A City Under a Tree. Inside the town inn, the members of the caravan slept inside the adventurer's special suite, consisting of 20 large beds located at the top floor. Nardo proves to be a wealthy Creston merchant with the benefits as a First Delta, having enough golden feathers, the currency of Avalonia, to pay for such a room. Upon the bed, right by a window at the corner, is Silvus. Instead of sleeping like the others, he sits up on his bed, gazing at the starry sky. He has always wondered what the stars are. Ever since he was young, reflecting on good times with his mother, he remembers that she used to take him outside for some stargazing. Closing his eyes puts him in a flashback to his past. He thinks about a time when he was young. His mother would take him to the back courtyard, where she educated him about the stars being the spirits themselves, and also when raptors die, they become one of them. It makes him wonder if his father is up there, watching them. Silvus wakes up to see he is still at an inn around York. Turns out he fell asleep while he was reflecting on his experience with his mother. Taking a few gasping breaths, he looks around the suite to see the members of Conclave, Eco, and Fee are still asleep in their assigned beds. The only one he does not see is Osea, who is supposed to sleep on the bed in front of him. Looking out the window next to him, he spots Osea coming out of the inn, walking by the farm square. Curious what she is doing awake in this time of night, he decides to carefully leave his bed, not wanting to wake any raptor. Leaving the building, Silvus carefully follows Osea all the way to a hill where he sees her sitting, gazing at the stars. Silvus slowly walks towards her for a closer look. She seems to be simply humming a strange tune while she continues to gaze. Taking a few steps forward, he softly calls out, "Osea?" "Eek! Eek!" She freaks out with a small hop.
"Silvus, you scared me."
"Oh, sorry." Silvus makes a cheeky smile. "I did not mean to startle you, but why are you still awake?"
"Well, I was dreaming about what Patalot might look like until I woke up unexpectedly. And instead of going back to sleep, I decided to go out for a walk and maybe stargaze for a bit."
Osea claims, shifting her body to the side, and pats the blue grass beside her, signaling for Silvus to sit next to her. Silvus walks up to the hill and sits next to Osea, joining her in stargazing. After a short pause, he speaks up, turning his gaze back to Osea. You said you were dreaming about Patalot?" he asks. Osea puts on a nervous face, gazing back at the night sky.
"Yeah, speaking of that, after we first met, I went back home to wait for my brother. When he finally returned a few weeks later, well, Manchester took over Maglo. Oddly, he told me to head to Patalot."
"For what reason?"
"I don't know.
Osea shrugs.
He only told me that it is for an important mission. What is even weirder is that he wanted me to wear this amulet at all times."
Osea grabs her green glowing amulet with a serpent iris. Silvus leans forward to take a closer look as the former observes it. That amulet she wears, he could swear he has seen it before, but he just can't piece it together. "Where did you get this amulet?" he asks her, hoping she knows something.
"It was given to me as a Hatch Day gift last winter. A miscaster gave it to me and told me that it is a good luck charm, blessed by the spirits."
"Really?"
"Oh yes, he told me that it gave good luck to many girls of his family and..."
Osea looks back at the amulet with a skeptical face.
"I am beginning to question this luck ever since my capture by those dark miscasting bandits."
Speaking of that, a question popped into Silvus's mind. Come to think of it, he wonders how a maiden from Manchester got captured, all the way to the border to Creston. Especially remember that she mentioned that she was told to head to Patalot. Come to think of it, Osea, how exactly did you end up captured with Conclave?
As I mentioned before,
She takes off her gaze off the amulet to Silvus with a blank face.
my brother wanted me to head to Patalot. He managed to hire a caravan to take me there until we were ambushed. I was the only survivor, but whoever ambushed me probably took me all the way there. I do not know who ambushed me because my head was covered by a bag, blocking my sight. After being sold, the bandits, or rebels as you call them, took off the bag from my head and threw me into the cage with the others they had captured. That is how I met them.
Osea points a talon to the inn, where the Conclave still slept. I have to say, Osea, that is one strange tale. What about your brother? Do you think he's worried about you at this point? Silvus asks her, remembering that she told him that her brother is overprotective.
I bet he's worried sick about me.
Osea looks to the side with a huff.
If I ever see him again, he's going to demand me to explain what has happened.
The two raptors stay silent as the wind blows by. They slowly look into each other's eyes. Cricket sounds can't be heard, and mist wisps fly around the sky above. Feeling awkward, they look away from each other with blushes on their cheeks.
Okay, so how far do you think we are from Patalot?
Osea breaks the silence. I think we're almost there, but I heard that the wellspring Patalot itself is so huge, it almost reaches to the stars themselves. Silvus points up to the stars, making Osea gasp in amazement, covering her snout with one claw.
Wow, really?
Oh yes, if we ever manage to climb up there, maybe our passed-away ancestors can get a closer look at us. Silvus adds with a grin, putting his talons on his hips, looking macho, making Osea giggle.
Imagine our ancestors looking at us right now.
Osea adds, but this time, the two raptors on the hill share a big laugh. After their little laugh fest, they begin to feel strange, not in their chests, but also behind them. They turn their heads to see their tails wrapped around each other. They even see themselves holding claws. Gazing at each other in the eyes, they start to slowly move their snouts closer to each other, only to be interrupted by a roaring sound. Both startled, back on their feet, the two worried that a Tyrannorex or a Spino could be nearby. They turn their heads with red cheeks to see the town behind them. We better return with the others. Gotta rest up for Patalot, Silvus awkwardly states.
Agreed.
Osea cheekily smiles. With red faces, the two begin to walk back to York to rest up for the night as they get closer to the city under the tree. The next morning, the caravan is back on the main road. Silvus and Osea sit in the same seats behind Nardo, who is back at the helm. Eco and Fee decide to sit near Silvus and Osea, having a good time speaking with each other. Getting closer to their destination, all four decide to share their thoughts of the city.
So the city, Patalot, that you raptors speak of, is it really under this giant tree? As big of a mountain?
Fee asks her raptor companions with a hint of fear. It is what our family and friends tells us. It is said many lifestyles of all betadoms came from here, Silvus states, pointing down at no place in particular, referring to the forest they are in.
It is so true. Manchester, Magalo, Cruston embrace a path of enlightenment, while Tracia and Jurassic embrace hunting. It was all thanks to the mysterious champion who wanted to share the knowledge with all.
Osea adds, wanting to demonstrate her historical knowledge.
What really brings all the Betums together is a love of studying and using mist, and our faith in the spirits.
Sadly, we don't really know who this champion guy is. When I actually try to read, they never really tell us who the guy is, Eco shrugs. Might as well be some kind of myth. How can he be a myth? It is written in our history books. If we do not exist, then the royal family will not exist either, Silvus argues at his cousin. If I may add, my dear friends, the voice of Nardo speaks, gaining their attention. He turns his head to the side and continues. Did you know that Conclave was an inspiration by many merchant guilds here, like the more popular Golden Kingdom Company? Isn't the Golden Kingdom Company a trade company directly owned by the Alpha King? Silvus asks, now listening too. Indeed, it is, my friend. Once we get to Patalot, the first thing I would do is... Nardo pauses his sentence with a smile. Speaking of, you better look at this. Silvus carefully stands up in the carriage to move next to Nardo to see what he is talking about. In front of his view, he can see an opening leading to more sunlight. His jaw drops, with his eyes widened. He sees a large circular metropolis built in the middle of the blue grasslands. The buildings are of Roman in style and shape, almost looking like cathedrals. The pearl-white colors look like it is made out of bluish-white stone with bronze rooftops, all protected by a large wall surrounding it. In the middle of it all is the colossal teal emerald oak tree, the size of a mountain, with the royal palace built around it. That is Patalot, the largest wellspring of the kingdom. Approaching the main gates, Silvus looks up to see a pair of long black banners with the symbol of Avalonia hanging above with an enormous gate made of iron in between. A group of at least 6 guards is seen guarding the gates. They draw their spears and slowly approach the caravan. Halt! State your business! The captain of the guard demands. I am the Vincio Nardo, first Delta of Crested on Conclave business. Nardo replies with a few coughs. The guard looks to Silvus and his 3 friends with a suspicious look, and then back at Nardo. What about them? What about them? The captain asks, pointing at the 4 mentioned. They are my rescuers, whom I offered to travel with me. I owe them that much, Nardo clarifies. The captain orders the other 5 to further inspect the caravan, which annoys Nardo. 3 of the guards inspect the carriage with goods, while the other 2 are inspecting the passengers. The 2 guards command the passengers to get out of the carriage and line up with Eco, Fee, Osea, and Silvus as the last 4 in that order. From right to left, the other guard inspects each raptor for anything suspicious all the way to Silvus. Does your cloak have pockets? If so, hand them over, the guard demands. If I may ask, sir, is it really necessary? Silvus asks, looking at him suspicious. With the war going up north, we need to be on high alert for any raptor seeking entry. The guard inspecting Silvus draws his short sword, pointing at him. I would not ask again. Hand over your cloak, now! One thing Silvus knows about members of the royal army is that they usually take their duties very seriously. So seriously, they will go through extreme methods, like what the guard is doing to him right now. For the sake of not causing trouble, he takes off his cloak and gives it to the guard. The guard inspects each pocket for any item that could be used by an assassin. Searching through the cloak, the guard spots the dagger that Silvus carries with him. He takes it out and confronts Silvus. What is this? Silvus had almost forgotten about Kree's dagger. He sees the other guard draw his blade, getting closer to him. Sweat is coming from his forehead, and his heart starts to beat fast. He better think about what to say, or he will be imprisoned for being an assassin. I found that dagger during my travels on my way here for study. The 2 guards look at him with skeptical looks. One looks to the captain, who gestures at him to keep questioning. As ordered, the guard asks, If so, where did you get this dagger from? I got it from a place called Shima, an underground city of kobolds, Silvus tells them without taking a breath. In response, the 2 guards laugh as if he told a joke, even though he is telling the truth. What creature would name an empire with such a name? And you really expect us to believe kobolds exists? The guard mocks, showing that they don't believe him, until a voice calls out, Hey, down here! The 2 guards turn their heads to Fee, who is, of course, the shortest of them all. With a huff, she stumps up to them to give a piece of her mind. Who and what are you? Where do you come from? One of the guards asks her.
What you were expecting? You actually missed me because I'm too small. To answer your first question, I am Princess Fijen, Princess of the Kobold Kingdom of Shima. And I could confirm, you dopes, that I'm pretty much real.
She puts her fists to her hips with a huff. One guard raises his claw, looking dumbfounded, and questions, Does that mean he's telling the truth?
Yes, that dagger, you see, belonged to a crazy sister of mine due to political stuff. For helping my people, my brother, who's the new king, allowed him to keep the dagger for study.
The guards turn their heads to the captain, looking stunned. He only shrugs. Looking back at Silvus, one of them tells him with an apologetic look, Apologies, citizen. Please forgive our ignorance. We will let you go. However, I must warn you. Next time, don't have a small weapon like this hidden. Any rapper who wishes to carry a weapon into the city must keep it exposed at all times, so we can keep an eye on them. The guard gives the cloak and dagger back to Silvus, while the other three finishes inspecting the goods, giving the thumbs up. Cleared! Thank you, sir. Silvus nods with a smile of relief. However, there's another case that he must address. He walks up to the captain to show him a package on his strap. If I may ask, Captain, I was sent by my mother, Beta Lady Vessel Silvira, to deliver this package to Arcus. By any chance, could I meet him as soon as possible? You mean the Archsage? I believe he's currently at the Royal Palace with the Mystatorium. The captain gestures one of his three talons like a thumb behind him at the gate. Whatever that package you have is, it must be important, since a beta requested you to carry it all the way here. The captain allows Silvus and the gang to return to the caravan. The captain turns his head up to the gates, shouting to open up. The iron gates in front slowly open with the sounds of roaring engines. Welcome to Patalot, the capital of Avalonia, the captain announces, allowing the caravan to move in the bustling metropolis in front. Inside, Silvus takes his time to admire the city up close. All the buildings, houses, and shops indeed look like stone temples neatly preserved, while the flower gardens and smaller trees grow in between, giving the city a nice forest theme. Looking up at the sky, he sees the branches filled with leaves from Patalot itself, almost covering the city like an umbrella. From the branches, he sees wisps flowing around its branches, giving the tree an enchanting look. Crowds of raptors of all castes are seen crowding the streets without a care in the world. Some raptors play music in the streets. Some are tending to the market buildings, selling assortments of goods. Some raptors are simply hanging around the various landmarks, like the big statue of Ultimar Magnus, erected in the middle of a circular district center surrounded by more shops. Silvus can see more guards patrolling in groups, keep an eye out for trouble. Stopping right by a 3-story building with a sign that reads, Conclave. The passengers begin to hop off, with Silvus hopping off last. He stretches his limbs after sitting on the carriage for too long. His cousin and 2 friends do the same. He turns to his left to see Nardo approaching him. Well, my friend, it seems that this is the time we part ways. If you ever want to buy the greatest goods Creston has to offer, Conclave is the best shop. Thanks for the offer, Nardo. Silvus extends his claw for Nardo to shake. More importantly, I want to thank you guys for escorting us here. Anytime, my friend. My associates and I do owe you our lives. But one more thing. Nardo walks up to the caravan of goods to take out a big bag and throws it for Silvus to catch. For your help, I give you 1,000 golden feathers for you to enjoy this majestic city. Nardo waves up his arms, looking up to the heavens covered with Patalot's branches. Silvus cannot help but chuckle. The way Nardo speaks is the typical Creston behavior. Silvus gratefully puts the golden feathers into his cloak to thank him once again. He turns around to see Iko, Fee, and Osea walking up to him.
So what now, Silvus?
Osea asks him. Silvus takes out the package to make sure it is okay, and tells him, we do what we came here for. He turns around at the giant tree. We head to the royal palace. As much as Silvus wants to enjoy the city, he has to keep his focus on the task at claw. After requesting Nardo to continue taking care of the Snaguanas, he makes his way through the market district, followed by two of his friends, Fee and Osea, as well as his cousin, Iko. Fee is falling behind Iko, gazing around looking like she's going to faint, while Iko is busy keeping an eye out for the Knights of the Mist. Osea walks beside Silvus, looking around with amazement. Acting like a total history buff, she's spouting facts like the city is actually of precursor origin. For being a big city, it proves to be an overwhelming walk for Silvus. He has to pass through hordes of raptors crowding the streets. Both in the nice neighborhoods and shopping centers, he tries to ask for directions, but the raptors are too busy minding their own business, passing through him, making him groan in annoyance. At least being in a city covered in plant life, he can admire the forest theme around him, hoping to ease some stress. Getting closer to the palace, Silvus decides to lead his party to search for a place to rest up, feeling himself getting thirsty. They decide to sit on a table outside near a tavern selling Maglo cuisine. Silvus picked it personally due to being a reminder of his home. Instead of food, they're having lotus bloom tea. Lotus bloom tea is a drink brewed from a yellow flower native to Maglo, lotus bloom. What is good about the tea is that it serves to calm the nerves. For walking a long distance, Silvus himself really needs it. A waiter from the tavern comes out with a tray of 4 cups and a teapot. The waiter places the tray in the middle of the table. Then Silvus reaches into his bag, giving the waiter the appropriate amount of golden feathers to pay. Silvus decides to stand up, picking up the pot to serve the tea for Osea and Fee first, believing in the saying, ladies first. Then he serves Iko and himself before sitting back down.
So, what do you think the royal palace looks like, Silvus?
Osea asks, sipping some of her tea. Taking a sip of his own tea, Silvus faces her now. Looking calm, he responds, if we ever make it there, I bet it's even bigger than the ones we live in.
But rude, if this palace is another ginormous thing, I'm gonna wake up from my next faint.
All eyes go to Fee, who is pouring herself another round. The poor little kobold lass developed a habit of fainting over giant things. She hopes by drinking as much tea as she could prevent another episode. That is until Iko opens his snout. Princess, we're talking about the home to the highest authority of all raptor kind. Iko drinks his tea, looking smug, and leans his head near her. Of course the royal palace is going to be huge.
Not helping, Icky.
Fee stammers with a glare at Iko, who just makes a playful grin. Thinking his grin is so funny, Fee cannot help but laugh instead of staying mad. To both Silvus and Osea, it is becoming clear that the two are getting along well. Perhaps they could be the first raptor and kobold to potentially fall in love around the number of years since the last time raptors ever contacted the kobolds. While Fee and Iko continue to speak, Osea turns her attention to Silvus, looking curious, and asks him,
So, how far do you think we are?
I honestly don't know. This is my first time ever being in this historical city. Silvus lifts his head, turning to his left, hoping to find some help from one of the raptors that continue to pass by in the streets. What seems odd to him is that they don't seem to be worried about the ongoing war at all. Probably they don't care much as long as the war does not come to them. Further scanning around the streets, he eventually spots a guard standing by the Magnus statue. He gets off his seat to approach the guard, hoping he will be more help than the average citizen. Excuse me, sir. Do you know how far we are from the palace? For what purpose, citizen? The guard asks him in a stereotypical deep guard voice, looking at him with a serious face, as he is trained to do. Silvus responds by telling the guard that he has an urgent task to meet with the archsage on behalf of his mother. The guard slowly points to the north road, to show them they are not far. The guard seems to be holding back a worried expression on his face while he points. Silvus takes notice and asks the guard what the problem is. The The guard tells him, if you all really are planning to get to the palace, I recommend you make an appointment with a member of the watch. There is an angry mob right now. An angry mob? Silvus perks up, shocked. He knows there have been many angry mobs formed across the kingdom, like the one he saw back home. He could bet that it is mostly anti-Mystatorium rhetoric as usual. Beside him, he hears Osea gasp, walking up next to him, while covering her snout with a fearful look.
By the spirits, how bad is it?
She asks. In a place like this, I think it's better I show you, hatchlings. The guard gestures them to follow him. Silvus looks to Osea, who looks at him back with a worried look, as Fee and Eco walk to him, wondering what is going on. Silvus explains what the guard told him, then he has them follow along to catch up with the guard. End of chapter 18. Please leave a like, a comment, and subscribe. And if you enjoy my stuttering reading, just stay tuned. Ciao.